when I was first starting out in this industry, my parents didn't fully understand what it meant to be a filmmaker. I don't think they still understand what it means all these years later. But I remember my dad saying something to the effect of, well, why don't you become a doctor? Because I was interested in medicine. And then you can write books that become movies like Michael Crichton. Or why don't you become a lawyer and then write books that become movies like John Grisham? And that was his kind of way of being like, why don't you get a real paying job that is respectable and then either make movies on the side or kind of laterally transition over into making movies once I had kind of accomplished this goal. And what's interesting is that there is some merit to it. We've seen other filmmakers like Ava DuVernay, having careers in other careers that kind of take them to this point, and then they kind of jump over and start making films. And really, being a filmmaker and a storyteller is largely about having life experience. So even if you've been a filmmaker since you were a child, you want to have life experience to help inform your stories and make those movies feel real. But of course, I didn't listen and never became a doctor or a lawyer, and just kind of kept plugging away. But now I pay the bills largely as a teacher, as a film instructor. So this episode is dedicated to all the jobs that are related to filmmaking that have nothing to do with the actual making of the film. And it really does take a village. It really does. Every film requires so many different roles that have nothing to do with like performance or camera or lighting or, directing or writing or any of that stuff in terms of the storytelling. But they are still essential to making the movie happen. So I'm curious, what are some of the weirdest jobs that you've either been hired for or had to hire somebody on for your projects? And of course, I, don't know everything, and I'm sure there are things that I'm missing, but wanted to go over some of the kind of highlights, because if you do have a skill in another field, that probably has kind of a position on a film set that could get you there to network to, then jump. So again, this idea of kind of having a skill and then finding ways to connect it to the film industry, it's not bad advice. So, for example, medicine. Well, we need set medics. Are you an EMT? Are you somebody, are you a nurse? Are you a doctor? Somebody with training? We need set medics to help with the project. There's also like consultants for stories and things like that. So, there's always the consulting route. But this is a set medic is an actual job that we need on set so you can be there and be part of production. Similarly, lawyers. We need entertainment lawyers and copyright lawyers and probably other different kinds of lawyers. That's not really an on-set job, but we need lawyers to help us draft our contracts and our PPMs for investors and all the different kind of things. And then when we're in distribution, we need, chain of title and all different kinds of legally related things that are necessary for getting our film out there, but don't really have anything to do with making the film. We need insurance people. I mean, God, do we need insurance people to make reasonable insurance for production that covers liability and equipment, errors and omission at the end, workers' comp, production accountants. We need people to do payroll, wardrobe. Are you great at creating wardrobe or finding things at thrift shops, sewing things, designing things? Are you good at makeup and hair? That's a classic one. Are you good at cooking? Do you want to be a caterer and do our lunches and oversee crafty? Truck driver is a big one. Like, especially as a union truck driver, you get paid to drive the truck and then sit around on set all day. You get paid for that. And then you drive the truck back, and that's it. You don't touch the equipment, you don't do anything, you can just observe. Are you good at construction? Set design. Do you like kids? You can be a studio teacher and teach children when they need to be in school. Are you good with stunts? Do you like driving cars fast? Do you like pyrotechnics? Are you good with weapons? All of these things have their own positions in different films. Do you love animals? We need animal wranglers. This isn't like a separate skill, but I always want to highlight script supervisors because they are so crucial on set. And if you're good at details, if you're good at looking at, that game where there are two different images next to each other and you have to spot the 10 differences between those images, if you're good at stuff like that, if you notice continuity errors, if you like puzzling out how the different takes that we've gotten are going to edit together, if you like being in the thick of it, you get your own monitor and you get to sit next to the director and you get to listen to all the conversation about what's working, what's not working. We're running out of time. How do we do this? You get to make sure that the script is covered, which is key, and where things are missing that we'll need to pick up. So script supervisors are essential. Greens people, do you like working with plants and setting up foliage and holding a tree branch over somebody? Offset, Foley artists, those are almost kind of like dancers, the way that they can move and sync up with the picture. All the sound designers, musicians, composers, music editors, distribution itself, festival programmers. I just learned recently, I met somebody who is like an integrations person for Apple TV. So he kind of makes sure that all the shows get on the platform correctly, all the QC for distribution, VFX, model makers, like building things like Star Wars or Wes Anderson stuff, and it's gonna explode. Locations managers, teachers. So it really does take a village, and sometimes you have to zig before you zag back to kind of where you want to go. But you should pick something that you enjoy regardless. I once met somebody who had 10 Oscars in sound design, but he really just wanted to direct. And his whole career, all he wanted to do was direct. And he never got a chance. And so, you should enjoy the ride, whatever that is, and be doing something that you feel productive in, even if, who knows? You never know where things are going to take you. But those zigging can lead you to interesting choices and experiences that you never thought you would have, and can still, again, be a part of the movie making business, even if they're not literally part of making the movie.